We'll start with 3 ohms and Sai Gayatri. Om. 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 Om Saishwaraya Vidmahe Satya Devaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Om Saishwaraya Vidmahe Satya Devaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Om Saishwaraya Vidmahe Satyadevaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Sai Ram. A very good evening and welcome to today's satsang. Today's satsang is a kind of a refresher for Bhagavatha Vahini, just a kind of revisiting of all the chapters which we have discussed till now. Because from the next chapter onwards, we'll have our traditional Bhagavatam. Till now, all the stories, what we have read, are part of Bhagavatha Vahini, specially written by Swami. If you look at the genesis of Bhagavatam, Vyasa, who was responsible to classify the Vedas into 4. He was author of all the Puranas, including Srimad Bhagavatam. He was author of Mahabharata. He even wrote Bhagavad Gita. He was the one who could see and hear that divine gospel, Bhagavad Gita also. Before writing Bhagavata, after all the works were done, after completing Mahabharata, he was still feeling he was in a pensive mood, was still feeling some kind of incompleteness. Not only that, he was kind of feeling negative vibes within him, as if his body was burning. He was completely not at peace. And he was clueless what to do, whom to approach. Can we ever think a person of that stature would also face this situation? Can we think that he would also be robbed of peace? But it happened. That time Narada approaches him. Narada tells him, this is a time for you to contemplate the stories of God, to write the stories of God. That's when he writes Bhagavatam. As Swami says, Bhagavatam. It can give everything. Bha stands for Bhakti. Ga stands for Gnana. Va stands for I think Vairagya. Ta stands for Thatwa. And Mu stands for Mukti. Swami says it can give everything. And if you look at it, is a Purana, it is not Itihasa. If you look at Ramayana and Mahabharata, they are called Itihasas. Their history. We can chronologically find, we go back, but these kind of stories that we hear from Purana, we never know when they happened, in which kalpa they happened, in which manvantara it happened. It was not aware, or in which state. I mean, no, these stories have been experienced by the devotee. Was it in Jagrata Avastha or Swapna or Sushupti? That was also not known. So these were a kind of timeless stories which can tell the timelessness of God. So here one important thing is, main thing, especially a kind of disclaimer everyone would give, one should read the stories of God, Bhagavatam. First thing is you should have devotion and faith. Those are the two main qualities one should have while studying Bhagavatam. One should not use one's logic here. For all intelligence and all, we should keep it aside. Because if you take out the faith part outside from this, actually you can find most controversies in these stories. You may even find something kind of taboo in the stories. A 5-year-old person killing his uncle. A small child, a 5-year-old boy, going to a forest and doing penance. Is it practically, can we think? A 5-year-old boy withstanding all the calamities, almost like pandemic daily. He was thrown into the fire. He was thrown no, from the mountain cliff. He was bitten by snakes. He was trampled by elephants. Yet he survives. So all these stories, if we look at, if we are using our logic, or if we just think about our human mind, it would not, it unbelievable. They would be completely unbelievable. So we need to keep our logic aside when we're listening to God's stories. Have faith. And that is how it works. Only when we have faith and devotion, at the right time, we'll be able to assimilate the inner significance of those stories. As Bhagawan says in the very first chapter, that Bhagavata is nothing but the stories or the experiences of those who contacted the God and the godly. He says the stories of those who have contacted the God and who have contacted the godly also, who have contacted the godmen or who contacted the devotees. So all together, it becomes Bhagavata. God has taken various forms, he has performed various leelas. And to perform certain leelas, he made some devotees as instruments. Some could become recipients of his grace. So all these experiences of those recipients, all the forms that he has taken, the experiences of this form, all together is called Bhagavatam. So this was the solution given by Narada to Vyasa. And even if you look at, even at his last moment as a recourse, it even came to Parikshit also. Because of Parikshit, only this Bhagavatam has come into the world. So it was written by Vyasa, it was taught to Shuka, who was a Brahmajnani and son of Vyasa himself. And through Shuka, it came to Parikshit. So if you look at Vyasa, intellectually, he is on the pinnacle, who has classified the Vedas, who has written all the Puranas, and many more profound works. can be considered as the pinnacle. He is even considered the avatar of Vishnu. Vyasaya Vishnu Rupaya, Vyasa Rupaya Vishnave. And Parikshit is the emperor. He's on the pinnacle of wealth, the pinnacle of power. And both of them needed finally God's stories. So ultimately, it's being told that whoever you are, you may be on the pinnacle of knowledge, pinnacle of wealth, pinnacle of power, whoever you are, ultimately, that can liberate you is just God's story. And just listening to God's story, you need not even understand. They didn't even say you need to understand, analyze, and try to find the meaning in it. No, just listen. As Swami says, it's panacea. It is a kind of cure all for all the ailments, for all the illnesses, for the physical illness, for the mental illness, for the spiritual illness. In all the levels of illnesses, it is a panacea, one says. So to take a pill, I think we really don't require to know the formula. We really don't require what chemical reactions would happen once we go in. That pill goes inside. All not necessary, right? We need not understand anything about the manufacture or the chemicals involved or the chemistry. All that is not required. Just take it and enjoy the effect. This is also like that. And Bhagavan says very importantly here that these stories are thrilling because I told many things are unbelievable here. So they're quite thrilling. They're nectarine. They're spectacular. And Bhagavan says what makes this Bhagavata authentic is the principle of avatar, the avatar Tattva. There's something called avatar. What is avatar? It is like descent. Descent. From higher consciousness to the level of human consciousness or level of the consciousness of a devotee. The devotee need not be always in human form. Even Bhagavan even says that avatar need not be, the first chapter itself, he says, need not be in human form. He can take any form. So Swami says, avatar, Telugu he writes, adharam adheyam. So avatar he says that adheyam and devotee he says as adharam. He says devotee is the support and avatar is that is supported. Adheyam, which is called that is supported. So it is devotee who supports the avatar. Means, Swami says, the sole purpose of avatar is just to grace the devotees. It is only for a devotees the avatar comes. Otherwise, there is no purpose for the avatar. There is no purpose for this higher consciousness to come to the level of human consciousness. All other missions of avatar, like Dushta Sikshana, Sishta Rakshana, they say, punishing the wicked and resurrecting the good, all these are secondary. Even Dharma Parirakshana, all these are secondary. He says, gracing the devotee. That is the main purpose of avatar. If devotee is not there, if devotee's yearning is not there, then avatar is not there. That's what Bhagavan very clearly says in this. And if you look at even in our Sai Bhagavatam, Bhagavan has taken myriad forms for the devotees. Most of us can relate. He has taken the form of Sri Rama for Raja of Venkatagiri. He has got the vision of Sri Rama. Even Dupati Tirumalacharyalu, who who was the author of, I think, Suprabhatam, our Suprabhatam, he had vision of Sri Rama. Mother Ishwarama had vision of Sri Rama. Gurugul Ramakrishna Rao was a great devotee and earlier chief minister of the Hyderabad state. He got the vision of as Narayana. Bhagawan appeared to him as Narayana. Not only that, in many other forms, Swami appeared as a midwife, a kind of nurse. He comes as a nurse and he performs a delivery. The ashram of Karunyananda in Rajahmundry, where the nurses would go somewhere in the night to a movie. He comes as a nurse. Even we heard that he performs a concert in Parliament in the form of Hirabai Barodekar, whose grandson is part of our music team. He plays tabla in Prashant Nilayam, Nishikant Barodekar. So when she came to Parthi to perform here, Bhagavan performs in her form, Parliament of India. He appeared as two African men who saved Dr. DJ Ghadia. And even we have seen how, previous one of the stories of Sitaramaya, who son of Ram Ramam, how he comes as a mechanic and disappears in a trice. Under the Vinay Kumar, even once he described an incident when he goes to Shirdi, a small boy comes, he directs him that you should first go to Dwarka Mai, not to the temple. All that. So Bhagavan has graced us. Even in a Sai Bhagavatam, he has taken innumerable forms to grace his devotees. So all these stories, all these experiences come under Bhagavatam. And Bhagavan very clearly says, it's natural for a being to get attracted to sensory objects. As they say, there's something called nature and nurture. It's natural for a calf to go and suck milk from the mother cow. No need to teach. Just like for the human beings also. But when it comes to walking or talking, it requires certain teaching. We need to teach. So it is called nurture. We need to nurture. Swami also says, initially all this sadhanas or listening to the stories may not be so palatable. Initially, nothing is palatable. Once we are used to anything, we don't accept change so easily. So also baby also, when mother tries to feed food after finishing the 6 months, slowly the rice is given. Initially what it spits, the child spits. But later it becomes so common that the entire life it eats food, the rice, whatever the staple food. So Swami says that initially these stories may feel that they may not be so palatable to us, but finally they can become part of our life. So mainly to the purifying intent and directing our attention from sense objects to spiritual pursuits, seeking companions. Bhagavan also says in this chapter that one needs to seek the companionship of the godly and reading and listening to the stories of God. because they purify the heart. And ultimately, he says that purity is the main thing. Even we have seen in our sessions on Tyagaraja, the efficacy of kirtans of Tyagaraja after all these centuries, because they found that they even named a term called, they had a special power called Arjava Shakti. The power that came to a person who led a pure life, who had the purity of thought, word, and deed. Bhagavan even said, if you do good things, in one of the discourses, he said, if you do good things, doesn't mean you're good. But if you are good, whatever you do will be good. If you do good things, doesn't mean you are good. But if you are good, whatever you do will be good. So being good is very important. Once being is pure, obviously the outcomes of from that being would be pure. Even once the great singer, late S.P. Balasubramaniam was telling his students, before becoming, no, don't try to become a singer first. First, try to become a good human being. Yes, you do your practice well, but first thing is try to become pure, good human being first. Once you are pure inside, whatever that comes out of you will have that efficacy. Even takes example of the greatest singer, Muhammad Rafi also. He said that he used to listen to song of Muhammad Rafi every day going to college. And he would stop at a place, at a shop or some place where they would play. And he would, every day he would be in tears. And that would be just some romantic number. It's not any devotional song or a pathos song, just a romantic song. But he says, because of the purity of his heart, I can feel that in the song. So that would make me cry. Not only SPB, that was witnessed. Bhagwan himself wanted Muhammad Rafi to sing in front of him. When he went to Mumbai, Bhagwan asked, you know, the devotee, his devotee Manoj Kumar, who was actor from Bollywood, yesteryear actor. Yeah, specifically asked to bring Muhammad Rafi. And when he comes, Bhagwan requests him to sing a bhajan. And when he sings bhajan, Bhagwan shows Manoj Kumar a kind of blue aura around Muhammad Rafi when he was singing. He says, Bhagwan says he's God's very own soul. That's the purity. That's why we can feel that. So Bhagwan says, try to become pure. And once you are pure, automatically your heart becomes the seat of God. So the first and the foremost thing is to becoming pure, as Tyagaraja did, leading a life of unity of thought, word, and deed. That's when we are opening all the three gates so that he can function through us. Whether he can sing through us. If we are writing, he can write through us. He can speak through us. He can listen through us. Whatever he wants to do, it's easy for him. So that's the purity we need to gain. And that's what Bhagavan says in the very first chapter. And he says there is no place for both world and God at the same time. Vasudeva and Vasudeva. Vasu is wealth. If you're craving for those wealth, worldly wealth, he cannot sit. No, two cannot be at the same time. You have to give place to one. So purity should be there. Either you should be only one side. If you're completely worldly, be there. It's okay. But because complete transformation can happen easily. We know how Purandaradasa, the great devotee, the Pitamaha of Carnatic music, known as Pitamaha of Carnatic music, he was a cutthroat businessman. Absolutely no feelings for God. But how he transformed? Because he was true in whatever he was doing that time. He was not a hypocrite. There's no hypocrisy. As Bhagavan says, no one who does acting, someone who is sleeping, yeah, he can be woken up. Someone who is acting as if he is sleeping, it's very tough. So we need to see whether we are truly pure as a being, pure as in words, and pure as in thoughts and deeds. And once that comes, the heart becomes automatically the seat of God. And once it becomes seat of God, as he says, love requires duality. You need some object to love. Till you merge in love, till you finally merging in him, we need the duality. So you'll automatically that love is developed. And that turns into yearning, 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 yearning. And finally, it leads to the emergence. That's what here, if you look at Parikshit, that's what it happened in his life. The yearning that started when he was born continued all through his life. And because of his yearning for Krishna, because of his reverence for Krishna, he actually could present all of us the greatest Bhagavatam. Probably he may would have required only 7 days of listening, 7 days and 7 nights was sufficient for him to attain liberation. So ultimately, when if you look at the time or timing when Bhagavata came into this world, it's kind of telling that this is a solution. Bhagavan clearly says it is a panacea for all your illnesses. So you need to listen to the stories of God always. He has only 7 days, and as we have seen earlier also, the significance of 7 days. Either one comes to this world or leaves the world. It should happen only in one of these 7 days. We don't have any other special day for us. That means we need to listen, keep listening to stories of God always, not just 7 days. For us, 7 days means every day. Still, because yes, we know that there is someday we have the ticket booked for us, but we don't know the date. Whereas for Parikshit, it was very well known. He had just 7 days. But for us, we don't know. So that's why we need to listen to the stories of God every day. And one more interesting story, even shared in Bhagavatam only, about the genesis of Bhagavatam. When Vyasa asks, Narada, how do you know that this is a solution, that this is going to give me joy? First Narada says, Vyasa, see, while writing Mahabharata, when you were writing about Duryodhan, you became Duryodhan. When you were writing about Shakuni, you became Shakuni. So you even got those negative traits also. That's why you had those negative qualities in you. Yeah, when you were listening to Bhagavad Gita, you attained even that. Gnana also, Vairagya also, but you didn't attain Bhakti, that pure nectarine devotion. Now you require is Bhakti. And he tells one story. Long back when I was going, he was Triloka Sanchari, he would be moving from one loka to the other. So one day he landed up in Vrindavan. As soon as he landed up in Vrindavan, he found a beautiful young lady weeping. And he even found two old men almost on their deathbed. He goes and inquires the lady, "Who are you, a beautiful lady?" She says, "Swami, I am Bhakti. These are my sons, Gnana and Vairagya." As soon as we landed up here, this is Vrindavan full of bhakti. I became young. I became vivacious, lively. But my sons were on the deathbed. Because it's full of bhakti, but there is no Gnana and Vairagya. Because it's not so easy to get. Bhakti is easy to get. Gnana and Vairagya, not so easy. So please do something, save my children. Bhakti asks Narada. Narada goes to Brahma, his father, praise him. He says, you contemplate on other four sons, like Sanat Kumaras, Brahma's four sons. He contemplates on them and they come and present Bhagavatam as the solution. Yeah, this is the solution. When you read this, you are going to get Jnana and Vairagya also at the right time. As I told, these stories are symbolic to our day-to-day life. We just have to listen first. Let us not apply any logic. Let us not try to analyze how is it so. Leave it aside. Just keep listening. Definitely, these are going to provide solutions. Maybe at a workplace, maybe in a personal life, or any place, or even spiritual illness, anything. And for that, yes, as Swami says, though it may not be palatable initially, we need to continue that. Just like mother patiently tries to feed the child and finally succeeds one day in feeding rice. So also we need to have the patience like mother to tame our mind, to direct our mind towards God and God's stories. It's not so easy, right? To easily direct mind which has been so much addicted or so much accustomed to get attracted to the sensory objects. It takes time, but it is Swami clearly says, yeah, just like mother has the patience to feed, initially mind may reject, but one day, once it finds the taste, just like the baby, when it found the taste, it doesn't leave. It becomes a staple food. It becomes a regular food for that. So you would not be able to live without. So there would be a day when mind would not be able to live without the stories of God. That stage it can go. So Bhagavan is giving assurance. What is all required is, first of all, lead a pure life. Make your words pure, make your thoughts pure, make your deeds pure. Make the heart the seat of God. And thoughts, words, and all three should be pure. As once, I think, Sai brother, one of the Sai brothers was telling that you should get equal marks in all the three. It's not that if you get 30% in thoughts and rest of the 90%, still you have failed, right? So in all the three, you should get equal percentage. You should have good thoughts, good words, good deeds. Should be equally good. That's when we are able to open all the three. And once the purity comes, it becomes a seat of God, heart becomes seat of God, and the yearning, slowly that love for God becomes yearning for God. Just like it has become in Parikshit. Parikshit was born. When he was born, he never had a father. That yearning that started in the womb till the tomb that continued, and that yearning only liberated him. Even he could not spend enough time during his formative years. His grandfathers left him, right? But still, that yearning, that purity, and the character, basically what he was, because of the pure character he was, we have learned how he was in the earlier chapters. Even now, we'll just have a glimpse of it. So, purifying intent one should have, and we should direct our attention from the sense objects to spiritual pursuits, and we should seek the companionship of God and the godly, and listen to these stories. These are the four important things Bhagavan gives. The true essence of man, which is love, will enter such a heart, and once it enters, it takes permanent residence. And such love is pure, and such love is sweet, and that is going to expand. Finally, seek emergence in God. We may even think somewhere, how do we get to just by listening to the stories, just by can we love God or it develops love for God? How is it possible? One brother Arvind was telling one kind of story or a kind of incident which he had heard. The founder of ISKCON, Srila Prabhupada, was giving a talk overseas. He was talking about Namasmarana. So one of those Westerners, normally Westerners would seek only rational answers. They would not believe in all this faith and all that stuff. He asked, why should we do Namasmarana? Srila Prabhupada said, you develop love for Krishna. Develop love for Krishna, you need to do Namasmarana. What? He says, what does it has to do? No, what love for Krishna has any place here? Ultimately, we need to love everyone. We need to find the oneness of each and everything. Oneness of. So for that, how does this love for Krishna help? What it has to do? Then nicely through a window, he shows a tree. You look at that tree, it has a beautiful leaves, branches. Suppose you want to nourish the tree. Are you going to nourish each branch? Are you going to put water to each and every leaf? What are you going to do? You will put water, you will nourish the roots. When the roots are nourished, automatically each and every part of the tree is nourished, right? There's a part of this country. Suppose you want to look at, you want to take care of, because country is full of different people. There are businessmen, there are farmers, there are soldiers, there are people of various walks of life. And to take care of each one of them, is it possible for us? No. Only thing is just pay taxes to the government. An ideal government will take care of each and every. So also, to love God, automatically you develop love for each and every being, each and everything. You love animals, you love insects, you love. That's what Swami says. This also, no. Everything is one. Only outer costume is different. The inner thing is one and the same. So automatically we develop love for each and every being. Once we develop that love for Krishna, just like roots are nourished, as the entire tree is nourished, just develop love for that Lord. Everything falls in place. So this is the first chapter. One gives the what ultimately says yearning. Once Bhagavan nicely told with an example. Bhagawan was walking in Kodaikanal and he was holding one of the brother's hands. As soon as the other students saw, they even started murmuring. Before they could murmur, Bhagawan even said, "See, lucky fellow, holding my hand. You're thinking, right? You're thinking that he is lucky fellow because I'm holding his hand." Then Bhagawan said one important thing. Holding hand is not important. Yearning to hold hand, that is important. That is going to change us. That is going to take us to greater heights. Probably that guy would have held hand and he would have forgotten it. But the person who didn't get that chance, he would think of it again and again, again and again, yearn. Probably he may not get it all in his lifetime, but that yearning would not stop. And that yearning would take him to different heights in spirituality. So Bhagavan says yearning, develop that intensity of yearning, intensity of devotion. We often think those people are great because they got those chances. Probably they would have got and they would have forgotten. They would not be thinking as we do think. Sometimes even not getting good because we have that yearning for that. Otherwise, that would once it is solved, probably that desire is fulfilled. We would not even think of it. But once we just remember those memories and that yearning, I think the joy is different. Just like we saw one story of Krishna Dasa, where he would be yearning for Krishna's darshan and Krishna would never give him darshan. Because Krishna was enjoying his devotion. Krishna says, yes, I'm selfish. I'm selfish because I'm enjoying the devotion. One day, if I grant darshan, probably that would end. That yearning is lost. I would not be able to enjoy. I want to enjoy more. And finally, he would never give darshan to that Krishnadasa, and Krishnadasa finally merges in him one day. And when his body was on the pyre, it would burning and it would each and every cell of his would chant Krishna, 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 Krishna. Fragrance would be emanating from the body, and every cell of his would chanting Krishna. So that level it would. So that is the power of yearning for God. And that comes by listening to the stories of God, leading a pure life with pure intent. Now, if we go to the first or second chapter for that matter, so we have seen Parikshit was saved by Krishna in the womb from the astra of Ashwathama. And even as unborn child, he perceived the dazzling light of Krishna's, that resplendence, that brightness that saved him. And he kept searching for the divine light and vibration that he constantly contemplated. When he was in the womb and as an infant, he would search. For a moment, he would think, who is this person who is having? Is he my brother? If he is my brother, then why he has all this Shanku Chakra and all that? I don't have it. So he's not my brother. Who is he? So once he takes birth, he would be just examining everyone. So everyone is full of delight. Pandavas were delighted because finally they got one successor. The Upa Pandavas were killed. Abhimanyu was killed. The only successor was Parikshit for their lineage. So astrologers also confirmed the highest possible set of virtues for this child. That he would be epitome of knowledge, he would be epitome of humility, he would be epitome of strength, and he would not not have any kind of enemies. He would have lead a peaceful life and peaceful governance, peaceful administration. And Yudhishthira would be, in spite of hearing all this, Yudhishthira's apprehension, there would be a kind of question always, what would be his end? How he's going to meet his end? And finally, he would be dejected knowing that his end would be met because of a snake bite. Suddenly, what all the joy that he had enjoyed, it turns into sorrow. Sometimes what happens is we unnecessarily try to. There are two aspects to see, this. One is, beyond certain things, if you are overthinking, definitely it leads to sorrow. Only to a certain extent, whichever is possible. This is my duty. Till then only I can think. I cannot overthink about my children or beyond certain things. If I'm thinking, definitely I'll be faced with sorrow. That is one way of looking at it. One way, we need to face it because this is something which each and every one of has to face. So when you go beyond that, find what happens after that, gain that knowledge. That's when you are pacified. So face that fear. Face that fear, because later, if you look at Yudhishthira would be pacified by those sages. That yes, definitely it is a serpent bite, but ultimately he would be liberated. So it is not a curse. By a sage, he would get, ultimately it is a kind of a boon, which is in the disguise of a curse. So in this way, we can understand that, yes, face it. As someone says, no, you should teach children that this is a truth. Most of the times we try not to, as if whenever some dead body goes, we try to take children inside. No, someone was telling, no, you show the truth. Let them know the truth. Let them ask, let them find what after that. Once they get that knowledge, probably they would never be intimidated by death. That is what we should always have, that cognizance, or we should always be cognizant of the truth that one day we have to go home. All this is just, we go to office, we go to Sai Gitanjali, we go anywhere. But back of the mind, we know that we have to go home back. And the thought itself is not at all intimidating, right? So once we know what happens beyond that, once we get the knowledge, because we are happy that we know that we're going home. So once we gain that knowledge, that what happens beyond death, automatically it would never, that thought would never be frightening us. It would be normal like any other thought. So in that way also we can think that apprehension of Dharmaja is like, one needs to face it. One needs to try to know what goes beyond that. And when he finds that knowledge, he is at bliss. He is at peace. He is at ultimate peace. And nothing is going to bother. As other day, Sadhguru Jagi Vasudev was telling, so each one of us should know that we are limited. We think we are unlimited. Even we see death also, we see that death happened there. It is not going to come to me. No, it's not so. Because once we are limited, we are cognizant of the truth always, we can know the priorities well. As they say, lead a life as if every day is your last day. Because once I know that this is the limited time I have, I'll do the best possible things, and many unnecessary things will just put in trash. We'll do the most important things, priority. Reading Bhagavatha Vahini, attending satsangs, going to bhajans. All these things become priority. Because when they say that, you have a limited time. But once we think we are unlimited, thanks to these days today, because many things are unlimited for us. Unlimited offers are given, unlimited food is served, unlimited spread of dishes, unlimited internet. All the things are unlimited around us. So we are also in that illusion that we are also unlimited. No, we have a finite time on this earth, and let us make the best use of this finite time on this earth. So face it and get the knowledge beyond that and ultimately get that final bliss. So the naming ceremony happens of Parikshit. Because he got that peculiar quality of examining each and every one. Because he found Krishna in the womb and he was looking for Krishna everywhere, only for Krishna. And when he finds Krishna finally, who comes to his naming ceremony, he goes to his lap and sits looking at him. So we should inculcate this habit at the early age or teach children early age to look for God in everything, look for good in everything first. We start looking for good in everything slowly. One day we look for God in everything. Just like Parikshit was looking only for Krishna, was looking for Krishna in everyone. We should look for God in everything. For that, the starting point is start looking good first. Easy to pinpoint the faults in others. When it comes to pinpoint our own faults, it's intimidating task actually. We would never ever just one fault we try to find within us. Suddenly it is so much, it puts us off, right? Because that is so intimidating task. But it is easy to find fault with many. Oh, from day one, first, whatever we see are only faults. It's very tough to find good things. Even if you find, we don't appreciate most of the times. So try to appreciate, try to find good, and try to develop this habit of good at the early age, just like Parikshit. So that one day, just like Parikshit, we look only for Krishna in everything. And ultimately, if we look for Krishna, if we find because Krishna is in everyone, definitely will not have any complaint with anyone because we are only looking Krishna in him. Because at the core, he is only there. So he would be named Parikshit by Krishna himself because he's up to his name. He's examining. Because of his examining nature, gets the name Parikshit by Krishna. And still, Yudhishthira has a doubt. Why this person, no, this boy is examining each and every one. Then he goes to Vyasa and finds out the true story, how Krishna saves him in the womb as a tiny little figure holding the Shankhu and Chakra, Gada, everything, beautiful, magnificent form, as a tiny little Narayana, he saves. That's when he names him Vishnu Rata, one who is saved by Vishnu. So that's how he gets. So let us develop this habit of seeing God in everywhere, in everything. That is what Parikshit is teaching us in this chapter. Now, after naming ceremony, Yudhishthira is overcome, is struck by guilt and misery. Because he had this kind of feeling that has done three sins. I've killed Bandhu Vadha, means I've killed my kith and kin. Guru Vadha, I've killed my gurus. I've killed my guru Dronacharya. I killed respectable, revered Bhishma. Third, Rajavadha. I've killed those innocent kings. They have nothing to do. I have issue with my cousins, but I had to kill those innocent kings. So he was carrying this guilt. In spite of Krishna pacifying him, in spite of many other elders and priests, Vyasa, including everyone pacifying him, he was not ready to accept. No, I need some kind of redressal mechanism. I need some kind of atonement. Give me something to atone my sins. I have committed sins. Everyone is saying, no, you have done your dharma. You have done your duty. If you're as a surgeon, you need to perform surgery, many microbes are killed. Would you cry for those microbes? In spite of all these kind of convincing words, he was not convinced, still wanted some kind of. So just to pacify him, Vyasa suggests the Ashwamedha Yaga. You do Ashwamedha Yaga. That's when he says that I didn't commit just one sin, I committed these three sins. So I need to perform Ashwamedha Yaga thrice. So I will perform thrice. And he seeks permission. So he determines to perform these three yajnas. And Krishna says, without thinking, how could you, just promise that the you take three yagas. One yaga itself is such a humongous task. It needs lot of money, lot of wealth. How much wealth you have, its treasury is vacant. And you cannot pressurize your people. You cannot pressurize your kings, subordinate kings. So how you are going to do? He says, I never thought that because I thought you are always there. Then he finally says, yes, I'm just joking. I know your heart, that you always have faith in me. And then he gives the solution. That once there lived an emperor called Marut, who performed a great, grand yajna, where all the Brahmins were given so much of gold that they could not carry home. They could not carry all the gold home. Some of them they deliberately left on the ground, deliberately threw. And all that gold is lying today. And even he asks, how can I claim someone else? They deliberately left it, so it is not theirs. And the children are not aware of it. So wherever that gold is there, it automatically it comes under that. If it is found in certain land, whoever is owner of that land, it is his right. So it is your kingdom. Everything is there in your empire only. So you can find them. So you are the rightful owner for that. So you go and get. Yes. If you look at even this here, one thing is Ashwamedha Yaga in this age we cannot do. In Kali Yuga, actually we are not permitted to do Ashwamedha Yaga. Ashwamedha Yaga, they say, if one performs final rites to an unclaimed body in Kali Yuga, it is equal to 1,000 Ashwamedha Yagas. That phala you will get. So you are not permitted to do actual Ashwamedha Yaga. You are supposed to do this if you really want to get that result. And Swami nicely says, Swami wonderfully, today everything literally, if you see it's stuff. That's what we saw. All these things we should consider as symbolic stories that can help us grow spiritually. Bhagavan nicely explained. Ashwamedha, other day he was explaining. See, Medha, mind. Ashwa is a horse. Say, mind is like a horse. Horse. What is Ashwamedha Yaga? What is horse sacrifice? You need to sacrifice the mind. You need to offer your mind to God. That is the meaning. Just like horse, which is unsteady, mind is also unsteady. Horse keeps moving its limbs always here, there, here, there. Not even once it will be, still. It will move its tail, it will move its leg, it will move its ears. So also mind keeps wavering. It says that wavering mind has to be offered to God. So also here, once we are guilt is also is not the right thing, because somewhere guilt is like you are taking ownership of the things. Ultimately, you need to surrender, right? When even Dharmaja says that he has faith in Krishna, then why he didn't have a complete surrender? That Krishna is okay. Krishna made me do it. Why I'm feeling that I'm the sinner? I need not, right? When I leave everything to Krishna, because I could promise the yajnas thinking that Krishna is there. Why cannot leave that? Because Krishna is there for that also, right? So That complete surrender is required. So here the complete surrender, symbolically as suggested by Vyasa, offer that mind, do that Ashwamedha Yaga. And where in one more symbolically also we can see that he said not one, I would do three. Yeah, offer your thoughts, offer your words, offer your deeds. These are the three yajnas we can do. Just like three Ashwamedha yajnas by Dharmaja. These are the three yajnas we can do. Offer the thoughts, offer the words, offer the deeds to God. That is the yajna that we can do. This Kali Yuga. We need not really, if you want to get the value for Ashwamedha Yaga, as I told, final rites for an unclaimed body. So offering mind to God, what else you want? Is it easy thing? Once we do that, that is a true surrender, true faith. So as suggested by Krishna, he would send his brothers. Dharmaja would send his brothers and all the soldiers to all the directions. So wealth would be brought to Hastinapura. And priests would suggest that as you wanted to perform three yajnas, O king, would chant every mantra thrice, and you can give the wealth to Brahmins, whatever that generally is given for wealth, give three times of normally given, that is equal to performing three Ashwamedha yagas. So they would chant each mantra three times, they would perform the yajna. So it's equal to three Ashwamedha yagas. And once everyone leaves, Krishna stays back. He would spend some time, which would generally what is not a natural gesture for Krishna, but he spends time because he knew that he was leaving soon. And we have observed in Bhagavan also. When he knew that he was going to depart physically, he used to spend a lot of time with devotees. We have seen that ourselves. Till 10:30 once he was in Kulwant Hall. Can we imagine that? 10:30 at night he was there in Kulwant Hall. Because he knew time has come, so I need to spend more time with my devotees. Because of the love for the devotees, he does that. So later Krishna leaves along with Arjuna to Dwaraka. After a few days, Dharmaja comes to know that Vidura is back. Vidura who leaves, renounces everything and leaves the forest or leaves to different kshetras after the war or during the Kurukshetra war. He comes again. So in the later chapters, we see Vidura's advent happened. So Vidura would go and would start conversation with Kunti and Pandavas. They'd be delighted to see Vidura after a long time. Through Uddhava, though he knew that Krishna had already departed this world, he would not disclose that Pandavas. Because in few days they would anyway know. Now they are in delight. There is so much happiness of having my darshan, have receiving me. I don't want to spoil this moment. I don't want to make this because anyway, one day or the other, or 2 days later, they're going to know. So why should I spoil this moment? So he would not disclose. And even when they question, oh, you might have gone to Dwaraka, how is all the things there? How is Krishna doing? Even Arjuna is also there. You would try to pass somehow question and try to tell some things. And he would bypass, he would not be straight into the answer. Sometimes we should know what to speak. Swami always says, no, Satyam bruyat, Priyam bruyat, na bruyat, Satyam apriyam. speak truth, we should speak pleasantly, and we should know that not to speak unpleasant truth. If it is not apt to speak, though it is truth, for that moment, we should refrain from speaking. Swami gave very wonderful examples once he was giving that the priest was actually generally during Hindu weddings, we see he brings that Mangala Sutra and along with Akshatas, he would distribute the Akshatas to all the attendees, all the guests. That is an auspicious thing. So the time you should never ever utter any kind of inauspicious words. So that time when one of the priests, when he was doing, he would find a lady who was known to him. He would ask, "How are you? Is everything fine?" He would say, "Yeah, fine, but recently my mother-in-law passed away." Swami says, "Is it the right thing to tell that time?" No, it is not the right thing to tell, right? It is not the apt occasion. This is a what kind of, so some people don't know. Even Bhagavan took very mundane examples. When everyone is on the dining table having lavish meal, some people would say, "Oh, I don't want to eat. I feel pukish. My stomach is upset." So all these kind of things should not be told. Swami was clearly telling basic manners, basic etiquettes. What should we speak? What is the occasion we should speak? So it's very important to have that discrimination, when to speak, what to speak, how to speak, in very, very basic things. So he would not disclose the truth, though he was aware. And immediately he would leave to the palace of Dhritarashtra, having found that. Because Dhritarashtra, all life, he was heedless. It was, as a minister, he used to counsel him. He used to tell how you need to conduct, but yes, Dhritarashtra never conducted himself like that. But of course, every night he used to call him and listen to him. Because you tell good things, tell me. I just want to listen, whether I follow it or not, at least. It is good to listen good things. That's why he used to listen. Because of that small thing, that he had that satsanga, though he could not implement it, but he had that companionship of the good. He got a boon of of witnessing the Virat Swarupa. Krishna grants it boon only because of this qualification that I'm granting you. And again, he takes off his eyes afterwards. So that is the power of satsanga. So now Vidura is more determined. Okay, all this while it's heedless, but now it's a time. I should provoke him. I should create an urge in him that it is already high time. You should not be attached too much to things. So that's where he goes and he kind of uses harsh words. He kind of uses very tough words, admonishes Dhritarashtra. Says the body attachment you have, it's the attribute of a fool. So finally, he enlightens him, he succeeds in enlightening Dhritarashtra, and Dhritarashtra decides to quit the palace along with his wife without informing anyone. Even he would present the doubt that in case if I tell Dhritarashtra, I mean, my Dharmaja, he would not allow me. And he would feel bad if I don't tell what he would. He says, once you're already ready to leave the body, what all attachments you are having now? What? Let them think whatever others think. Whatever others think, let them think. Because once you have left this feeling that you have to leave this world, you have to leave. That's it. Doesn't matter. So he kind of succeeds and he takes them to the forest, and all the three retired to forest. And one day in the forest fire, both Dhritarashtra and Gandhari would give up their lives. And witnessing this, Vidura would be very much happy because he's successful in his attempt. At least in his last days, he could contemplate on God and he could atone some percentage of his sins and went to higher lokas. And later he moves to a different spot which he had chosen for himself to shed the body. So he would go there to some kshetra and he would shed the body there. So in this way, Vidura would become successful in his attempts. Sometimes God also creates situations to us when we are too much attached in this illusion, this Maya. He creates situations so that we are bound to, so that we would get enlightened. It may be harsh, it may not be a palatable thing, quite harsh, just like our COVID crisis that time. How he had to take tough measures, tough things to show that this world is not real. Still, of course, now things are back and slowly again we're falling back again. But still, at least when we think about that, we would at least remember that. No, I need to have that, no, have the cognizance of it always. Let me not get fall into this Maya again. So God creates that situation. And now it's a time for after the departure of Dhritarashtra and Gandhari, Yudhishthira was looking despondent. He would try to search for them everywhere. He would send his soldiers, he would send his people everywhere in all directions, but already they were lost in the forest. They have given up their lives. So all his attempts would be futile. One day, unknowingly, the despondency was increasing. It was intense. And all his brothers would come, would inquire, what's the reason for this melancholic mood, deep melancholic mood? So Yudhishthira replies with multiple perspectives that he has different signs that he had observed thievery, he has observed a kind of aberrations in his kingdom which are not otherwise seen anytime. Some dark signs in nature, in plants, in animals, even my body signs. My left side is kind of giving a different vibes. Not only that, many kind of things, many strange, bizarre cases are being observed in the law courts, where a lady comes and she wants a divorce from her husband. She would not be able to stay with her husband. For the first divorce case, he was so worried. So today, almost on a daily basis, I know how many are happening. Good that he hasn't seen this day. Would have been shattered. One case only he is becoming that it is something great. So he could find that these are not the usual signs. It kind of signals me the advent of Kali, and also signals Kali can enter only when Krishna has left, otherwise he would not. So somewhere it is, I have an intuition that Krishna had left. So he was having that. These are all unprecedented signs. These are indicating something happened to Krishna. So Pandava slowly, even though they were trying to pacify, I mean, Dharmaja, They also lost courage because of the words. That's when Arjuna comes, wailing, completely exhausted, and falls at the feet of Dharmaja. He reveals about Krishna's physical departure and he even tells how Yadavas killed themselves. Their own kith and kin. Father killed son, son killed father, son in law killed father in law, mother in law killed daughter, like that. All the entire clan got perished. Finally, it's understood that it's Krishna's will, and all other things are just, we are all puppets in his show. It's all his will at the end of the day. They understood. So, this is what we also need to understand. Certain things, sometimes it's very tough for a normal brain to comprehend the things that happen around because it's Krishna's mystery. We don't know. It's all, he's always mysterious. That's why Swami says, no, don't try to understand me. You will never be able to. Just enjoy. That's it. Enjoy this moment. Enjoy his presence. Enjoy his omnipresence, omniscience, and omnipotence. Don't try to understand. That is a futile attempt. That would never be successful. So they found that it's Krishna's will. And even he tells a story that how he followed Krishna's command. Krishna writes a letter and he shows the letter. This was a letter written by Krishna, last letter to me, that to save, that he would, that he will. He says in that he would be departing and save, except his palace in Dwarka, rest everything is going to be submerged in the sea. And save those queens and all the retinue from the palace and take them to Indraprastha. So on the way, when they would be staying at a place for a night, suddenly they would be attacked by the goons, dacoits, so-called tribals, rustic tribals. And Arjuna would, who is an invincible archer, unconquerable warrior, great warrior, mighty warrior, he would not remember a mantra, remember those incantations to fill his astras, to fill his missiles with potency, to fill them with power. All that he would forget. Then he realizes all this while I thought, this is my might, this is my skill, this is my talent. It's all Krishna. It's all his grace. So we also take many things granted. We need to realize, no, that everything, our strengths, talents, wealth, health, career, relationships, everything are the tokens of divine grace. Everything are the tokens of God. One day, if he wishes to take, he can take us. Take them. We may cry because of the attachment for that, but ultimately, if we are always cognizant that it is his wealth, we are just custodians. That's it. Custodians of everything. I don't have anything of my own. No, I call so called. Many times we forget things. No, we think that, oh, I know this bhajan well. I am no, I'm so much. His brother, I think, Kaustubh Pare was describing one incident where he had practiced a bhajan well. Hara Hara Shankara Samba Sada Shiva Isha Mahesha. So he practiced that bhajan well. And he base practice so well that he wanted to grab the attention of the fellow singers, Ravi Kumar, Ashwath, and all, just to look at him when he sings that Isha, because Isha is that the game changer for that kind of song. The bass voice, if he sings that, that would be it. So he wanted to some kind of astonish them with his singing skills, and he would come. He says that I came with all the things that today, though, they would just go mad. They would just go crazy listening to that. And then he starts, Hara Hara Shankara Samba Sada Shiva. He would just forget Isha. Just a two-letter word. Mahesha. He was singing. He was not able to sing the Isha only. He tried. Finally, everyone looked at him as he wanted, but for in other way. Not with a kind of astonishment, of course, but a different kind of astonishment for a different reason. And later, when he looked at Swami, Swami was just raising his brows, raising his eyebrows. Now, what do you say? So, who are we? We are nothing. A two-letter word can be taken away. So, what all that can be taken away from us? So we all have all this kind of illusion that this is mine and that is no. You cannot even remember a two-letter word. You cannot not own that. So what you're going to own? So from this Arjuna's episode, we learn that. So let us have that kind of always have that surrender. It is you, Swami. Everything is yours. We are just custodians. So give us that strength all our life so that we can safeguard whatever that has been given to us and use it to the best maximum possible way, the best way, helping ourselves and helping others. So devotion to Krishna for these Pandavas, because of the devotion, the dawning of the higher wisdom was always there. That's why they could always had that calm, even though they had to face calamities. Because of their devotion to Krishna, because they are well anchored to Krishna so strongly, they could let loose all other connections. They kept all other connections loose, quite detached, because they could easily let go. When they understood that Krishna has left, they already found that yes, time has come. They had big palaces, big things to do. They're emperors, but still, that's it. They decided this is the time for us to go. Kunti, as soon as she heard, she just gave up the body. As soon as she heard that Krishna has already left his abode, and she also left, she followed him. Pandavas maintained their calm, maintained their cool, perform, performed those final rites of Kunti, and in no time decided the coronation of Parikshit, and he was installed on the throne. And Parikshit wept in sorrow because sudden turn of events. So suddenly he was asked to grow up overnight. Right now you have to grow up overnight. How was it possible? He begged his grandfathers, please stay back. Few more years stay back. Because those were the formative years. They didn't wait a moment. Sometimes we need to take certain decisions because every decision we cannot take time. Sometimes we need to take on the spur of the moment. So once we are having that clarity, having that calm, yeah, this is the right thing, we have to do it immediately. Just like here. Yes, they knew Krishna will take care. They came to know that everything existed with Krishna. All is I could not remember a mantra without Krishna. So what all? So he can take care. It is not. I am just only a decorative pillar here. I am not going to I have just come to decorate this world. That's it. Any moment he can remove. I'm not required at all. Like Swami always says, no, ants can do my job. I really don't require you. So if he really wants, yes, ants are sufficient for him to take forward his mission. So in no time they perform the coronation of Parikshit and they leave. we look at these 14 chapters, Swami concentrated on the strength of the character of Pandavas and their devotion to Krishna and their level of detachments, how they let loose all other connections. And once they found that Krishna is left in, they didn't think about a moment what is going to have next. They decided everything in one night and they left. And they gave what they gave, the greatest wealth they gave to the successor. Parikshit is values they gave and the devotion of Krishna. And he was in safe hands of those gurus. So the values. So ultimately, what the greatest wealth that we can give out to future generations is not the property that is actually to be given. True property, what we give is the sanskars, the good sanskars, good values, devotion to God. If such kind of things, if we are able to do, if we are able to know, succeed in that endeavor, it would be great thing. At least we could direct them towards in the right path. That is the greatest thing. So that's what they were successful. After that, they didn't think even a moment. Yes, they passed the baton and they left. And next, Swami concentrates, the next chapters, he concentrates on how Parikshit becomes an abled administrator. So, under the tutelage of those great sages and gurus like Kripacharya, he becomes an abled emperor and he becomes a perfect epitome of, Swami says, no, Daiva Preeti, Papa Bhiti, and Sanghaniti. So, it was the epitome of that, was having love for Krishna, intense love for Krishna. And that made him see that not even a minuscule of sin should be there in my empire. So when he hears about Kali's, the Kali has entered somewhere, he immediately tours, he immediately journeys around his empire so that there would be no deviations, there would be no kind of deterioration in ethical conduct or moral behavior of his subjects. And Sanghaniti, that's a morality in society to upkeep that. He travels around intensely, along with relishing the stories of Krishna from wherever. So once you have love for God, really I said, no, whatever source it comes, yeah, Krishna, wherever I Krishna, I'll just go around. Whoever it may. Swami says, no, if the name of God, even if a beggar utters that name, don't take it lightly. It has an effect. So he knew that. So it's Krishna, his love. So whether his subjects performed a kind of street plays or dramas or musical things, he was relishing them. Or even Pandits were telling the stories. He confronts a Pandit whose feet were washed by Krishna, and he would listen with utmost devotion, utmost reverence. And he rules his kingdom with that strength and compassion. So what all he had was that continuous prayer and grace of Krishna he had. Because he had that yearning, he didn't let that yearning die right from that one that started in the womb, that continued. Thanks to the values that he imbibed through his forefathers, his grandfathers, thanks to those gurus, and his personal sadhana also, personal efforts also. Ultimately, he became an instrument because of whom today we got this Bhagavatam. We are talking about Bhagavatam because of him today. And he was proactive in approach, taking preemptive steps so that there should not be an iota of misconduct in my empire. So that's when Vyasa comes into his life. Vyasa comes, pays visit to him. And then he finds that, oh, just like a walking encyclopedia, we call it, like a walking Google has come. The current parlance, we can call it as a walking Google, who can tell everything about Krishna. Then he finds, so now I can relish an amount of stories, a number of stories from this person. And that's when he quenches his thirst, knowing the greatest bond shared by Krishna and Pandavas, asking various episodes, Pandava Prastha, how Krishna directs, finally helps bringing up that Maya Sabha, in the Prastha, how Draupadi was saved by Krishna in that game of dice, during that gambling. And the Durvasa episode, we have seen how Krishna saves Pandavas from the wrath of Durvasa, finally proving a point that he is the one who is there present in everyone, just by eating a leftover meal. Not just leftover, even Draupadi confirms that I'm not so shabby dishwasher. It is all your Leela. You created something and you ate it and you satiated their hunger. You made their stomachs full so that to save us. It's all your Leelas. All those wonderful episodes we have seen. And we have seen that Arjuna's fight with Shiva, who's in disguise of a pill, a tribal hunter, along with his Bhutaganas, who are also in the disguise, along with Parvati. Finally, when Arjuna surrenders, when he gives up his ego, that's when finally he gets the result. That's what, as I told, in this journey, as the things we let loose things and let go many things, and finally when we lose ourselves, no, that identity is lost. That is for actually we have won the race, won in spirituality. It's not by gaining, amassing things. It's not generally in otherwise, no, in the world, the greatest rank in the wealth, who has amassed a lot of wealth, will be the number one, the richest person in the world. But here, the richest person is something who has lost, other way around, who has lost himself. Finally, he even asks how Krishna saved Pandavas in the war. It was just a charioteer. He did the menial job of applying balms to horses, cleaning the horses. So he showed that no work is small. Every work is God's work. And finally, as the as the dawn comes, the Vyasa decides to leave. That's where these episodes, where the next episode will be the curse of the final exit of Parikshit. It starts from the curse, which is normally a traditional Bhagavata starts. So Bhagavan has shown that once you develop this character and yearning, the devotion, you will become a worthy instrument. All through life, Parikshit had a spotless character. He never had even an enemy. How do you think that person can even put a dead snake on the neck of a sage? That too. And why would he ask someone water who is in penance? All these, if you look at it, it's all again a divine play. If a divine master can make people kill each other amongst themselves, can't he do all these things? Because he wants to make him a worthy instrument to bring the mighty Bhagavatam, to unleash mighty Bhagavatam to the entire world. He has his own place, he has his own ways. That's how he does it with Parikshit, who never did any kind of mistake in his life. He finally does this, but for a purpose. It is again because as he has surrendered, he has become an instrument in the God's hand, and he becomes a very significant instrument in this divine mission. And we are going to see from the next chapter, those wonderful stories of Bhagavatam. And as we said, let us not just listen to those stories without, let us not analyze anything, let us not try to even to find the meaning. To enlighten us, if anything sensible to be given to us, it's all his job. Our job is to just, as he said, Shravanam. Just keep listening to those wonderful stories. And as he says, as he promised that it is a panacea, let it be, let it work on our illnesses. We don't know many illnesses which we may be having. We think that we know many things, but we don't know. Physical level, we may not be knowing many illnesses. Mental level, spiritual level. So let that be taken care of from now on. Just let us all just relish now listening to those nectarine episodes of Bhagavatam that are going to come from the next chapter. So with this, I close today's talk, and now this is open for the discussion. So any insights, any thoughts on today's all these 23 chapters, anything we have missed or any important insights to be pondered upon more, to be dwelt upon more. I think we can discuss it now. Saira.
Sairam Suman.
Saira.
Not a moment we totally lost in your rendition and presentation. You've got a gift of God. The narration was so good. You took us to a different level. Thank you.
Thank you. Any particular insight that we can discuss, or you thought that worth discussing more? We should give more thought on. Of course, many insights are there. Probably whichever you think.
Doing good things does not mean you are good. You yourself should be good. Then whatever you do will become good. It's a
Yes. Yes.
fantastic learning.
Being is important, as I said. The reverse may not be true, because if I do charity, does not mean that I have pure intent when I'm doing it. Probably my intent would be different. So that doesn't qualify me to be good.
And the analogy of the mother's patience in developing the taste for rice. And finally, the child learns, and once it learns, throughout his life, the child eats
Yes.
that rice. Similarly, once the mind finds the taste of
Yes.
God and the God stories, it will not leave. It's again a very deep sharing.
Amarnath sir, any insights or any thoughts today's discussion?
Before Amar, 1 second. The other
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
which is deep insight is, uh, you pray to God. Krishnadasa's story, he doesn't grant the darshan, and the Lord enjoys the earning of the devotee. Uh, and finally, when the body is put to the fire, each cell chants Krishna. Uh, that's the level of earning one should develop. So when
Yes.
we make our spiritual sadhana, firstly, not being attached to the material world is one learning. Even if you have to cross the samsara, what you ask for. Yesterday we had another session with Mahendra where the focus should be on the creator and not the creation.
Yes.
Earning must be of that kind.
Yes.
Uh, once it is anchored on Lord, uh, this is what my dad taught me the last lesson. Face the fear. Uh, everything he is taking care of, you would be liberated. At the time, you made one expression. It is a boon in disguise. A challenge may look like a curse, but
Yes.
incidentally, it becomes a boon in disguise. Was a again something I, it made me remember my dad. And the parental attitude teach the children to look for good in everything from a very early age. Once you start looking for good in everybody, slowly you will start looking for the God in everyone. It's again a fantastic sharing. Ashwamedha Yaga illustration, a beautiful recall, but this aspect which you said, I have never heard before, that Yudhishthira wanted to atone the sins, three sins of killing his
It's,
teachers, his kith
yeah.
and
That in a,
kin, the innocent kings, and he wanted to do three times
yes.
Ashwamedha Yaga, and you the three you are compared with thought, word, and deed. Uh,
Yeah.
Simply brilliant sharing.
Thank
Fantastic.
you.
It never occurred to me that this could be a perspective. Fantastic. No, uh,
Thank
in
you.
the other context, our mind cannot comprehend the acts of God. Um, you quoted Swami saying, "Enjoy me, do not try to understand me." In the
Yeah.
context of explaining was something I recall with, yeah, many times we have heard Swami saying that um, uh, uh, mysterious are the ways of God
Divine.
and divine uh, and the avatars for that matter. But instead, hearing them, learning and experiencing them, and that Kaustubh Parekh's story again, what is something I've heard before, but it was nice to hear from you again. Yes, this lastly, that Parikshit being a spotless character, born out of values, raised with great values, a person who lived through his values. How on earth can he go and ask a person in meditation for water, put a dead snake on the is mind-boggling. It will not fit into logic and intellect at all. But that's the way the God stories are made, and only faith can make
Yes.
you understand, nothing more. Superb.
Yes.
Amar sir, sorry,
Thank you.
all yours.
I'm Suman. It was just beautiful. I'm always supercharged after your talk. You keep reminding us of our spiritual journey to Swami without diverting from the path as humans. We get associated with the body. You put us back onto the track, and it was just lovely. And the best part is, it is always nice to hear recap of Sridhar. It is like, you see, you are describing you are talking about the eating of the jamun, and our Sridhar, describes the taste of jamun, what we had. It's something beautiful. Again, thanks, Sridhar, for the recap as usual. But one thing I just wanted to again touch upon, Suman. I see this. I always, it keeps picking me. These Pandavas, they just
Yeah.
leave Parikshit and go. Okay, it's
Yeah.
and it's a height of detachment. I agree. Parikshit is begging them, but still, they leave. You see, this is sometimes, I get a feeling. I mean, is detachment so important that you are able to sever all our personal relationship with any particular thing. You see, it's a great lesson, but it keeps pricking. It's hard to swallow sometimes. What do you think of it,
Yes, sir.
Suman?
Yes,
No,
sir. Because the
yeah, that's
detachment level.
it's a very
Yes,
strong
sir. Please
point.
tell. Please.
A very strong point at that. Uh, Once Krishna has left, they see no meaning in worldly life. What is of including duties, responsibilities, swadharma, everything they leave it and go. Another lesson which I learned from this perspective, Amar's brother, is
Yeah.
many a times we seed when the children emotionalize us, and we go to swallow our values and allow them to do what they want. But here is an illustration where the Pandavas just walk off. But you may think they have walked off in a very irresponsible manner. That's where Swami very beautifully describes in that chapter. There are sages, there are elders. They have made enough arrangements to ensure that this guy will sit on his throne, learn the process of administration, and do justice to the people. After arranging that, after doing Kunti's last rites, they leave. Again, if you go beyond the intellect and logic, uh, there is something more to see in these stories. Sairam, sorry.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yeah, gaining that level of detachment where really we are feeling that we are custodians. Probably they got that real that we are just custodians. Rest is he is the one who takes care actually. We are just custodians. So my job is over. As Dr. Safaya always would come with the case and he would hand over. Swami, we have done our job. Now it's up to you. He would hand over, no, a documented case. He would just give the file into the hands of Swami. Swami, you have given. So literally, he would give to Swami. Now it is your job. So that kind of detachment they had. Oh, he is your son. You have to take care. We have done our job. So they have literally got that proper detachment levels. I think that's, yeah, it's very tough for us. So because we have this attachment and these so-called bonding and all that, it is very tough. Slowly, I think once we have that strong anchoring as Pandavas to God, one day we may get that.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you again, Suman. Wonderful. Thanks, Sridhar,
Pandavas
for the
were
add-on.
blessed. Pandavas, I believe, were extremely blessed. That is during the most difficult part of their life. They always had Krishna by their side till the war was over, and therefore they saw as all those things which you recalled beautifully one after the other. How Draupadi was saved. From there onwards to every single episode, you know. They know, but for Krishna, they were nothing. And the depth of it, what Swami brings about in these, is when Krishna finally leaves, And when this Arjuna tries to bring back these people from wherever they are, when the tribals attack, he's not
Yeah.
able to use his astra, he's not able to remember anything. That is the uh, clinching, nailing point, in the sense, without Krishna, we are nothing. Having realized that, they also their detachment to this worldly ruling, and they left and towards to seek their and to give up their bodies.
Thank you, sir. Sir, you raised your hand. Sorry, I don't know your name.
Yes, Sairam. I just wanted to know the timings of the next satsang. This is the first time I'm attending. It's very wonderful, and I would like to know the time and the date for the next sessions.
Yeah, you can I have your number. I'll send personally my invites
Uh,
for the satsang.
uh, uh, okay. Can I tell it now, or how can I send it to you, Sairam?
If you want, you can tell it now. No issue.
Suman, you can give your number to her and she can link with
Yeah,
you
yeah,
through
yeah, yeah.
WhatsApp. That
You
would
take
be
my number.
appropriate.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, Sairam.
Can you take my number?
Yeah, give me 1 second. Hi, Sairam. I can take it now.
99453
99453
258
258
53.
53. Thank you
Yeah,
so much, Sairam. 99453 25853.
correct.
Thank you, Sairam. It was wonderful, Sairam. Thank you.
Please message me. So next time I'll send the satsang invites to you first.
Thank you, Sairam. Yes, Sairam.
Thank you. I know your good name.
My name is Sai Gayatri.
Hi, guys. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sister.
Yeah, Manath sir. Anything else?
Yeah, no, I see Sridhar has summarized everything, and there is
Okay.
nothing more I can add. I just have to only enjoy the bliss for some more time, thinking about every point you mentioned. It's just lovely. A blissful feeling is what yesterday I was talking about. Blissful. This is a blissful feeling.
Thank you, sir. Jagdish sir.
I think you said we just have to listen, the Shravanam. That's what I'm doing. Your lucid explanation and Sridhar's summary and Amarnath stopping. I'm just listening and enjoying.
Enjoying the dish.
Absolutely. But I was just remembering only on that craving part how you talked about Tyagaraja. If you refer to uh, the Bhadrachala Ramdas or Annamaya, all of them are like Krishna Dasa.
Yes.
Tried so really tried so much. All their songs, if you listen to them,
Yeah.
are actually an appeal, a tremendous yearning.
Yearning. Yes.
Yes, tremendous yearning, and that is a common thread in all of them.
Yes.
And if you see Tyagaraja, time and again, he keeps saying, even in Nagumomo, for instance, Jagamele Paramatma, Nannelukora, Yoruto Murulidanu. So, whom else can I tell? Please take me.
Right.
All of them. All of them. I think that is something probably we should also try. I know it's hard, but that
Yes,
yearning,
yes.
that yearning for the
Yes,
bliss. That
he was the only point of contact for them. That's the
yes,
main thing. For all you look at, we have
yeah.
some contacts. No, Jagadish sir, I'll contact for certain things. From Sridhar sir, I'll contact for them. Only contact
No
is
distraction.
Krishna. Rama. So
Yeah.
for everything, whether it is mundane they want to ask or spiritual they want to ask, he was the only contact. So that's the
Ab-
power. That's why they became that. No, that intensity of yearning has become that level.
Yes, I think it's very intense, very, very intense. And I think even Kunti wanted that, right? She wanted to be always
In
remembering.
misery.
Yeah,
Yeah, she
yeah.
wanted miseries actually. Yeah.
So that is. I think that seems to be the common thread.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you, Suman.
Thank you, sir. Any more thoughts or questions before closing the session? We'll be closing the session with Asatoma. Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritangamaya. Oh, Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samastaloka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय. Thank you all. Sai Ram.
Sai
Sai
Ram.
Ram.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thanks
Thank you
all.
so much. Thank you
Sai
all.
Ram.
Sai Ram. Sai Ram.
Sai Ram. Sai Ram sister.